Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 6 of our 30-plus day Get Up and Go challenge. Today we are going to talk about rating all 7 areas and aspects of our life. Our tool today is rating. There are so many things in life that are subjective, meaning it's up to us to decide what they mean. Secret, everything in our life is up to us to decide what it means. But a lot of times we want to put a measure. We want to measure something and know how we're doing in that particular area or aspect of our life. Remember, we've been talking for the last few days about our physical health or physical aspects of our life, our mental health or our thinking or those aspects of our life, our emotional thinking or those aspects of our life, our spiritual health, our financial health, our relationships, and our contribution. Those are the key 7 areas I learned a long, long time ago from Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, other motivational leaders that we want to pay at least some attention to create the life that we want, to create the results that we want in each of those areas. And for each of us, some are more important than others. We talked about yesterday what areas are most important to you right now. And you got to pick and share your top 3. I shared my top 3. And it's interesting. I've done this challenge over 30 days. This is the 6th time now. And every time it's slightly different. And the same is true of the exercise and the tool we're going to use today. Rating. I like to create when there isn't an objective way, meaning there's numbers or something you can measure. Some things are really easy to measure. Profits or loss, money is really easy to measure. Weight, things that you can get a numeric value to are really easy to measure and track. But when that isn't easy to do, so if I ask you, well, how are you doing physically on a scale of 1 to 10? Or if I ask how you're doing physically, how do you tell me, how do you describe that? You know, maybe you're sick, maybe you've just gotten a diagnosis, maybe you're super healthy and you're better than you've ever been. But how do you have a conversation about that besides using a bunch of words that are all subjective to explain it to someone else and to explain it to yourself and track it for yourself? Because that's what's really important. What I like to do is I like to just take and either use a simple scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. 1 being, hey, that area is really, really bad and I'm struggling in it. 10 being, I'm at the ultimate, the best I could possibly be in this particular area. So 10 is the highest you can get, right? And then 1 is the lowest you can get, unless of course you're dead and then your physical could be a 0. And then you'd probably be a 0 in most of those areas, right? So let's say we're going to apply a scale of 1 to 10. And we're just taking a snapshot, like remember Polaroid pictures, anybody? Now we've got, instant pictures digitally, but we can just take a snapshot of this instant in time. And that's what we're doing with this rating. We're saying, how am I subjectively judging on a scale of 1 to 10, how I feel about my physical health and my physical well-being right now? How on a scale of 1 to 10, and it's subjective, it's my opinion today, how am I feeling about my mental, emotional, spiritual, financial situation, relationships, and contribution? How am I feeling about each of those areas? And that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to rate each of these areas. I know some days are simpler than others, but if you've never done this is kind of hard to do, to say, okay, physically, how do I think I'm doing? And of course, everything's relative. So what I like to do is I just put a little grid in my notebook or on my piece of paper and I date it and I say, okay, 2/6/21, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution. And then I like to do the average because I'm a nerdy engineer and I like to take the average of everything. So you just add them up and then divide by 7 to get the average. So add up each of your numbers between 1 through 10 and then get the average. Now, there's always going to be rater bias in this, right? Because we are always automatically prejudiced. So when you're judging this, you might say, I'm a 10 in everything. And then you're awesome and you probably don't need this challenge or anybody else's challenge because you're already as good as you can be in every area or aspect of your life. But if you're like me, you're not a 10 in everything. So just today, take a snapshot of that. And what I like to do, and not always, but sometimes what I like to do is in my work days, my corporate days, I would graph everything and make little, on Excel spreadsheets, make graphs and statistically and analyze everything. But that's overkill for something like this. But what I like to do is I like to say, okay, where was I the last 2 times I did this challenge in each of these categories? Now, I don't rate myself. The highest rating I've ever given myself so far, I think, is a 10, maybe an 8 in previous iterations of looking at this, because I like to do a periodic review of how am I doing and how am I feeling in each of these areas. Now, on a bad day, if I happen to have done this on a bad day, which it looks like in December, I don't know, maybe in December it was a not so good day when I did this, because I went down in my physical well-being. And then I would say I went down even more in January. Now I'm rounding the corner and coming up again. But yeah, so I rated myself average or below average for that. So if we think 5 is average for people, then it's not about comparing ourselves to other people. It's about always comparing ourselves to ourselves. And how are we doing? Are we moving toward what we want, or are we moving away from what we want? So if I look at just October, October, December, and February, I haven't rated myself yet for this month. How do I feel physically? But I gave myself a 4 in December, a 5 in October, and then let's say I'd probably give myself a 5. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to give myself a 5 in February. So if I look at that, 5, 4, 5, it shows that I've had some fluctuation in my physical well-being. Well, December tends to be the month with Christmas and the holidays, just off Thanksgiving, and all the times where I let some of my habits slide. And so I can see and understand why I would have slipped a little bit in how I felt about my physical well-being in December. Plus, I live in Wisconsin, so it's getting colder, so it makes getting outdoors and exercising, which is my favorite thing to do, a little more challenging, a little more difficult. For example, right now for the next 10 days, we are having actually the first super cold snap for Wisconsin, and it's going to be, 10, 11, probably 30 below wind chill for the next 10 days. But we'll figure it out. So today, all you need to do is get out a piece of paper or in hopefully your notebook that you're using for the challenge, and make a little chart, or just write down PMESFRC, because you'll know what they stand for by the time we're done with this challenge. And then just, how do I feel on a scale of 1 to 10 about this area? And then we're going to review that. What I want you to share in the group today is just the one area that you think is most important for you to work on and get an automatic way of handling any challenge or any change or any setbacks or roadblocks or obstacles that you think you're feeling in that area. What of these 7 areas of your life do you want to work on first? What's the most important and what's the most urgent to you? Share that in the comments below. I'm going to tell you right now, my personal one is physical, and I haven't even done the rest of the ratings yet, but I know that right now, and that's why I've already started doing things. Forgot to turn off my alarm. Sorry. So mine right now, hands down, is my physical well-being, because I know from personal experience, if I don't take care of myself and have the energy I need to show up and do the things I want to do, nothing else matters. And that involves a whole lot of things, but overall, I know that nothing else matters. So when I say I'm average right now, probably average right now, but guess what? Average for most Americans is not in good shape. So average, again, is relative, but I would say rating myself as a 5 and average doesn't feel good to me, because why? I always want that number to be increasing and going up. I want to always feel better about every area and aspect of my life, but I also want to know that I'm making progress and trending toward my ultimate goal. Is my ultimate goal to ever be a 10 physically? No. To me, a 10 physically would mean I'd have to be like in the best shape of my life, and the best shape I could possibly have ever been in my life. So probably in better shape in all areas and aspects of my physical well-being than I've ever been in my entire life. And that's, I want to always be continuing and living a long, healthy life, but probably have done some stuff that set me up for bigger challenges in that area than I am willing to put in the effort and the energy to be a 9 or a 10 in that area or aspect of my life. But I definitely don't want to be a 5 anymore. So that's why I say this is my most important area personally to work on now. So share in the comments below, rate 1 through 10, and then just share in the comments below the area. You don't have to put your ratings. You can share your ratings if you're brave. I'm sure I'll share mine, but you don't have to, because again, you might think you're a 9 in everything, and that is right for you, or whatever, a 10 in everything. And don't rate yourself a 1 or a 2 in everything, because I guarantee every area or aspect of your life is not lower than 90% of the population. All right, have an amazing day. I'll, of course, see you tomorrow. Bye. Get up, go do this.